Hey everybody! We're here live today in partnership with Riverworks, benefiting the Beerline Trail Health Matters series. And we're going to be making FoodRight's original chicken sandwich with creamy ranch sauce. So let's just get right into it. And by the way, if you haven't seen me before, I am Chef Leslie and I'm here in the kitchen with Mary Kate. She's helping me out today. So I have a bowl here, if you can see, full of chickpeas. I have drained and rinsed them in a colander before we went live today. And we are going to be mashing these, and this recipe mirrors, what would traditionally be, a traditional chicken sandwich that's deep fried. So we're gonna mix that up a little bit and do a healthy plant-based recipe instead. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna wanna mash these chickpeas. So you can do that several different ways. You can either use a masher if you have one, and you can just kind of like start with this. You gotta press down a little hard. You gotta use that muscle. But you can also, if you don't have a masher, you can use a fork. Another thing that you can use that works pretty nicely is the bottom of a cup. So whatever tools you have at home, you can definitely get started on this recipe. So we're going to want to mash these until they become kind of like a thick paste. So I'm going to start with that. And let me tell you, it takes a little bit of muscle power here. So if it's an arm day, we've got you covered. So one of the nice things about FoodRight's plant-based recipes is you aren't really losing any of the protein that you would be having even if you were eating a chicken sandwich. So beans are and legumes are like a wonderful protein-filled plant-based food. So, and lots of people get concerned that eating a plant-based diet isn't going to allow you to get all of your essential amino acids, which make up protein. And that's really not true. If you're eating a variety of plant-based foods throughout the day that contain protein, so different fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, you really should be getting all of your essential amino acids and all of the protein that you need in a day. So we're actually going to be pairing this with some whole grain buns, and that's going to give you your full essential amino acid profile and a healthy protein-packed meal. All right. So we're getting there, and I'm starting to sweat. It's a little toasty in here. And we're going to be adding some ingredients to this, of course, to make everything kind of come together in a patty. I think we're almost there. I think that looks pretty good. So we want it to look like a chunky paste. And I'll get a little close-up going here so you can kind of see what my bowl looks like. All right. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute, and we're going to get some of our other ingredients that we're going to throw into that bowl ready. And we're going to start with 2 onions. So I have already washed my produce and, of course, washed my hands. We're gonna mince these, so that means really finely cut down or chopped. So I prefer to use a chef's knife to do that. And when I am using my chef's knife, I'm always using a pinch grip. So I'm actually touching the very back of the blade, and then I'm wrapping my fingers around it. And then what I do is I take my other hand and there's no finger food here. We're not gonna be cutting any fingers today. So you want to tuck your fingers under in a bear claw. We call this the bear claw grip. And then you just cut off the root part and get rid of it. And then we're gonna go and we are going to just go back and forth like this. Now, if you don't have a large chef's knife, you can use a small one, a paring knife. You can just go back, pull back. But you can also use scissors. So if you have little ones at home that are helping, you can use their small scissors. You can use a pair of scissors, that you wash. Obviously, you want them washed and sanitized, but you can also go and chop them or mince them this way. It's a little bit harder, but you know what? It's a means to an end, especially if you have little people helping you out. So I'm going to finish up with my large chef's knife here. And we're just gonna go back and forth. So it's sort of like this rocking motion or chugging motion. It reminds me of like a rocking horse or maybe like the wheels on a train. So there's pressure going forward and back. And you can actually use most of your green onion. We don't need to just use the white parts. We can go up and use the green ends. So because we want this minced, now that that's all chopped up, I think that's probably enough. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna use the rock chop. And I just threw away that little piece that was like the membrane of the onion. And you're just going back and forth to get those super small.
You have some whole pieces on the plate. So.
Thank you. So, because I like to be extra safe with my knife, one thing that I really like to do when I have those extra pieces, ooh, I'm getting stinging eyes, is I actually like to use the end of a spatula and I just scrape them off with that, and then I go over it again. Okay, that's pretty good. So now that that's done, I'm going to use my spoon again and get the rest of that off there. We are going to take our bowl and we are going to add some more ingredients in there. So the onions that you just minced up, you can throw those in there because we just needed 2 of those, and that's what I'm going to put in. All right. And then we need our seasonings. We're going to add those. We've got quite a few here, but we're also going to be adding an egg, and we're going to be adding some cornmeal as well. So 1 egg. I'm just going to take that and crack it on the side, and we'll hope for the best. All right. And for the cornmeal, we need 1/4 of a cup or 1/4 of a cup in our dry measuring cups that we have here. And I think that this may have been pre-measured, but we'll just make sure. we have a little extra. So there goes the cornmeal. And then we are going to add all of our seasonings. So the first seasoning that we need is, we've got our garlic. And we need a half of a teaspoon of garlic powder. So if you don't have garlic powder, maybe you only have, garlic cloves. You can certainly use garlic cloves. Where's my half? There it is. All right. So there's our garlic. We also have our Knorr chicken bouillon powder. So if you want this recipe to be completely vegetarian, you could always go with a vegetable base. We do have that as well. We're choosing to use this chicken bouillon to give it more of a authentic chicken flavoring. But you could also do vegetable bouillon. Or if you don't have either one of those, you really could omit either one. It's still pretty tasty without it. So the Knorr seasoning, we need 1 teaspoon. And then we have our smoked paprika. So a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. So if you don't have smoked paprika, I'm sorry, you can't make this recipe. I'm just kidding. You just use regular paprika, or you omit it, That's kind of one of the things about making a recipe at home, is sometimes that prevents us from making something because we don't have every single ingredient in our house. Well, sometimes you can improvise. You can use different products. Or you can omit them and see how it turns out. We're experimenting, right? So we need a half a teaspoon of the smoked paprika, or regular. And then we are going to do 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And also, those of you that are with us that maybe are struggling with a little bit of high blood pressure, and you know that you shouldn't be adding additional salt, that's completely up to you. You can omit that as well. There is some salt in the bouillon, and you can always salt later if needed. So we've got our garlic powder, we've got our chicken bouillon, our smoked paprika, our salt, and now we're going to move on to our cayenne pepper, black pepper, and I feel like I missed something, but I don't think I did. We're going to do that at the end. I was thinking we missed the onion powder, but that's actually in our sauce, so that'll come later. So cayenne pepper. So this recipe calls for 2 pinches of cayenne pepper. So this is kind of a neat strategy to use if you don't have all of your teaspoons at home. So 1 pinch is equal to 1/8 of a teaspoon. 2 pinches is equal to 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to get my fingers in there and I am going to get 2 pinches of the cayenne pepper. So this does add some heat. So if you don't like heat, I would say go with just 1 pinch. Or of course you have the choice to leave it out if you would prefer. Now don't go touching your eyes because you'll be crying. So I'm going to wipe my hands off. I've got a little towel back here. All right, so Mary Kate and I are going to try ours a little bit spicier today. So I have some hot sauce here, and this of course is optional as well. And we also need to put in our black pepper. So we're going to do 2 pinches of black pepper. 1, and 1 or 2 tablespoons of hot sauce. That's a lot. That's a lot. Mary Kate, what do you think?
I'm good with 2 if
Oh
you're
my
good with
gosh.
2.
Okay.
But I don't want to pressure you into making something too spicy that we can't enjoy.
We're gonna do 2. We're gonna be brave, and I'm gonna try something different today. So also, hot sauce does have a bit more sodium in it. So again, if you're gonna add some hot sauce on here and you feel like maybe you should omit the salt, that's another thing to consider. All right, so there we are. We've got everything in the bowl. And what we want to do now is we want to mix everything up. So we're going to fold this all in. So folding is very similar to mixing, but it's kind of a more gentle technique. And it's really just kind of combining all the ingredients. And once we do that folding, we're going to take a look and see like what the texture of this is. If it looks a little too wet, we might want to add a little bit of flour to it. If it looks a little dry, we're just going to leave it. We can always add a little bit of liquid to it too if it did seem too dry, but this seems pretty good. I don't think we're going to need to add any flour to this. And that may be because we added the hot sauce. Okay. All right, so that's done. I'm going to put that to the side, and we are going to get the next step started. And I'm also going to wipe my cutting board off here because I like to work on a clean workstation. Okay, so we're going to move on to making the creamy ranch sauce, which of course is delicious and really makes this something special. So I'm going to get my small bowl that I have over here, and we're going to gather our ingredients, which are Greek yogurt, mayonnaise, Dijon. So I have these little packets. And again, you guys can be using what you have at home. If you don't have Dijon, maybe you want to try regular mustard, it's up to you. We're also going to be using onion powder, a lemon, or sugar, which we have, just a little bit. We're also going to be using some fresh dill, which really gives this sauce a wonderful, fresh taste, makes a huge difference. And then we'll be adding salt and pepper to taste at the end. So I actually want to start out just by mincing our dill. Let's just get that done. So we need 1 tablespoon of dill. So again, you can use different strategies for mincing your dill. You can use a chef's knife. You can use a smaller knife like I demonstrated before. And also this is a nice task for little ones. You can also get your scissors out and you can just start using your scissors. So I actually really like this method. It kind of gives you a little bit more control. You can go around some of the tougher stems. So I just think this is a nice strategy. So I'm going to go with it. And that's what we're going to do today. So 1 tablespoon is quite a bit. We're going to need to mince for a little bit here. So we'll do a little bit of that, and then I'll show you guys what this might look like if we were using a knife too. And again, we're mincing, so we're going to want to make this pretty small. So you could just pull some right off of the stem like this. And you kind of just ball it up. Get that out of the way. And you want to make sure that your fingers are tucked in, that bear claw position. When I'm doing this, I just always prefer to use a larger knife, a chef's knife. So, but you can do whatever feels right for you. I would say that's my tablespoon of dill right there. So I'm going to put the rest of this aside. And also, this is, you know, leaving this up to your discretion and your taste. I love fresh dill. It is one of my favorite fresh herbs to use in cooking. And so I might, if I were making this just for myself, I might go ahead and add another half of a tablespoon. But again, it's up to you. And if you don't have fresh dill at home, that's not a problem. You can use dried dill. And if you don't have it at all, you could use a different herb if you wanted to. All right, so that's good. Good to go. All right, so next, I'm gonna clear some of this off of here so that it's not all over me. We're gonna get the rest of the ingredients going here. So this recipe calls for a container, which is, this one is about 5.3 ounces. So just one container of Greek yogurt. Again, we like to be flexible. I like to be flexible. So if you don't have Greek yogurt, you could use regular plain yogurt. You could use, you know, lower fat or reduced sour cream. So we're flexible. All right, I'm gonna recycle that. We're gonna use that for microgreens later. Okay, so we're gonna need 2 teaspoons of mayonnaise. I believe there are 2 teaspoons in this packet right here. So I am just going to put that right in. And we are going to use a half of a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of the Dijon. So I'm just gonna, you know, go bold and I'm gonna put the whole packet in here. All right. We have our onion powder next, and we're gonna use 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder. Which I think is exactly what's in there, so I'm dumping it all in. All right, and then we are going to go to our dill. I'm just gonna put that in since it's here. And I didn't measure that out, guys. I mean, if you wanna measure that out, you can totally do that, but I'm okay with eyeballing it, and like I said, I love dill, so I'm not afraid if there's a little extra in there. What we're gonna do next is get ready for our lemon. So we've got that, but we'll add our sugar first. So 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. Also, this is something that you can do to taste as well. If you're a little bit hesitant to be using sugar, you can go with a little bit less. You could go with 1/4 of a teaspoon to start out with, and then you could add more to taste later on. All right, so here's my favorite part. We get to juice our lemon. I am gonna grab one of these little prep bowls over here. And I'm anticipating that there's gonna be some seeds. That's why I have my prep bowl and why I'm not just putting it into the bowl, because I'm gonna catch those seeds in the prep bowl. So the way that you want to cut your lemon is you're going to want to cut it around this nice round part here. So we've got the, as Chef Stephanie likes to explain it, we've got the equator running around here. We've got our north and our south pole, and we're going to cut it right through the middle.
My roommate always told me to get extra juice out of it to give it a good massage before you cut
You
it
can
open.
absolutely do that. That is a fantastic strategy, especially if it feels hard. So you're going to want to break it up and do it that way. This one is really juicy.
Looks great.
It is. It's squirting out juice. So I'm just going to get some of these seeds out of here right away so they're not spilling everywhere. And then we are going to squeeze as much as we can. There are a lot of seeds in there. You don't have that problem so much when you use lime, but lemon definitely has quite a few seeds. So we're gonna really juice this guy up. I don't think that I'm gonna use all of this. This is a very juicy lemon. This would give the sauce a very strong lemon flavor, which I don't really think is entirely necessary, but I'm going to show you some strategies to get all that juice out. As you guys can see, this is a very juicy lemon. So I just turn it back around and I use my thumbs, which are a chef's best tool, and I just break up the rest of the pulp in there to release the juice. All right, whoa, and it's a very juicy one. All right. So I'm going to use my hands again to kind of use as a sieve to catch the seeds that are in there. And I'm just going to let it kind of trickle through. I think I'm going to stop there. I still have quite a bit left in there. And if I feel like it needs more at the end, I'll add more.
Smells so good.
It does. I was just going to say, the smell of fresh squeezed lemon is amazing.
I want lemon in it.
All right. So salt and pepper to taste. So we're going to mix it up first. And I think that I'm just going, well, I guess I can use this. So if you're the only person having this recipe, you could of course taste with the same spoon more than once if you're the only one eating it. We are not, and we are not going to do that. So I'm gonna give this to Mary Kate to taste, and she'll tell me if she thinks it needs any salt and pepper, and then she'll just throw it in the sink for me because she's close by this sink. All right, I think we are well combined. Mary Kate, what do you think?
Ooh, that's good. Definitely a little salt and pepper, but
Okay.
that's it.
So we'll do a pinch of each.
Perfect.
And next we're gonna start cooking. We're not done yet. So I'm gonna take some of this stuff and get it out of the way so I'm not knocking things over, and then we're gonna get started cooking. And I am going to leave my 1/4 of a cup, I believe, because that's what we're going to use to scoop the chickpea mixture. I'm going to quick stir that up now that I've added the salt and pepper so that it's ready to go, and I'm going to get it out of the way. So here in the FoodRight kitchen, we do not have, so we're going to use a burner. I'm getting Here we are. Okay. Okay, that's good. So I have my little propane burner over here. And we are going to turn it on very low because this is a very powerful burner. And Mary Kate, this canister is running a little low, so if you see the flame turn off, let me know.
I'll let you know.
So we're not going to use too much oil, but we are definitely going to want to keep an eye on how hot the flame is, because we don't want these to burn. So maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons. I just eyeballed it. And then if you take your spatula and just kind of spread that around in the pan. All right. So I'm going to take our chickpea mixture and we are going to start forming patties that are about 1/2 inch thick. So we're going to use 1/4 cup measuring here to try and get us there. All right. So we're going to get a little messy, and that's fine. I might go a little bigger. I'm going to go with another. All right, there it goes. First one's on.
Maybe like a heaping 1/4 cup.
Yep. Or if you wanted, you could even like get out a 1/2 cup. I mean, that might be a little big, but yeah. And of course, this too is also up to you, how many you want to make and how big you really want them. But that's about how mine look.
Cookie cutter shapes and make like chicken nuggets.
Oh my gosh. A dinosaur?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? That's actually a really good idea. For those of you with children, Mary Kate knows what's happening over here with kids. All right, so I'm going to get a couple more on here. I don't want to lose any precious chicken mixture. So you're going to want to cook them until they're golden brown on each side. So depending on, you know, your stove, probably like, I don't know, 3-4 minutes on each side. Oh, that was just about perfect. And you are going to want to, you know, give them a good squeeze, just like you would if you were making like a meatball or a meatloaf. Get it nice and compact. Okay. There they are. And they are cooking. So you can take your spatula and just press them down a little bit. And it's kind of a good time to think about, you know, what you want to put on these. So what are your toppings going to be? We have with us, we've got our buns, And that, of course, is an optional thing too. Maybe you prefer to just have them with the sauce. But we've got tomato and we've got lettuce already washed. And so while these are cooking, I am just going to move this over to the side a little bit, and I'm going to slice up our tomato. Again, using your pinch grip and that bear claw. But you could put just about anything on top of these, just like you would any type of chicken sandwich or burger or bean patty, whatever you guys like to have at home. You could use jalapenos if you like a little bit more spice. You could put a slice of cheese on top if that's your jam. I like my tomatoes thinly sliced. Just my preference. Also, you can give it a little squeeze to get some of the seeds out if you're a person that does not love the seeds in the tomato.
I wonder if we still have pickles in the fridge.
Pickles would be a great one. You might have to add some of those. This tomato is not the ripest, so if you have the opportunity to get out to a farmer's market, perhaps say the Riverwest Farmer's Market this Sunday, you could probably find yourself a much riper and tastier tomato. And FoodRight is also going to be there this Sunday. We will actually be giving away 20 ingredient kits to the first 20 people that come to our tent, which you cannot miss. It's bright orange. And we will be giving away these ingredient kits to make this specific recipe. As long as you come to our tent and you like us on social media or you make a small donation. Or large, we'll take a large one too, but we just want you to come and visit us and hang out with us, learn to grow, and help support local farmers markets and local foods. All right, so I'm going to take a look at these. I might turn it up just a little, just a smidge. We're getting there, and they're staying together pretty nicely right now. Okay, I'm gonna grab our lettuce. I almost took the jalapeno from off of our I almost grabbed this, and that is not real, friends. So but just looks really real and fresh. So I'm just gonna break these up to fit onto a sandwich. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really like my lettuce hanging. I have a lettuce thing. Like, I don't like large pieces of lettuce in my salad. I don't like my lettuce hanging off of my sandwich. I don't know. Okay. Let's check these out again. Well, they are definitely starting to brown now that I've turned it up. Ooh, it stayed together. Woohoo!
The biggest success.
I was
always anticipate one to break, but
it's the small things in life.
right?
That one's a little, I think it could have cooked just a little bit longer. I kind of feel like I need a step stool back here. This is getting a little, it's getting a little tall for me.
Next time we'll have to pull out the cutting board so that you don't have that extra 1.5 inches.
Here we go. That's all right. I'm getting a little calf workout back here too. Arm and calf workout today. Shoot, this one's gonna break. Darn. This one might too. Yep, it did.
Just a little.
But that's okay.
Still looks good.
All right. I think we have one just about ready. So I'm gonna get a bun. And again, we are using whole wheat buns because we are using different plant-based foods with protein in them to make that nice complete protein. Mary Kate, you get to go first. Oh, that's getting hot. I'm gonna get a plate. We'll get them off there.
Pick one up and then
All right.
I'll leave it out. Make it look all pretty.
Sounds good. All right, so there we are. And before these burn, I'm going to get them off of here, but we are going to top our chicken patty with our creamy ranch sauce. So lucky for me, I actually don't think that this broken patty is going to taste any different. So I think we're all good. Okay. Our ranch sauce. Move this out of the way. Give it a nice, healthy amount on there. Some tomato. Okay. And a bit of lettuce, and voila. You have your chicken sandwich.
Beautiful.
All right. I think I'm just going to cut this in half, and we're going to take a quick bite, and I'll reassure everyone that it tastes delicious. Mmm. Really good. And I love the hot sauce in it.
Good.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are so happy and excited to be connecting with our community partners. And hopefully you have enjoyed this lesson and you cook with us. Let us know how you liked it. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much.